ever stop to think about what goes on, like, really behind the scenes in medicine? Not the big breakthroughs you see on the news, but the stuff that makes it all work.
Yeah, the foundational things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially with clinical research, it's super high stakes, right? But for a long time, there was this vulnerability, a big one.
A really significant gap, actually.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into that. How patient safety and, the integrity of the research itself get locked down in clinical trials.
And specifically, the role certification plays, which is maybe surprisingly central.
Totally. Our mission here is to figure out how one particular organization basically saw this dangerous vacuum and just stepped in.
And ended up raising the bar for the whole global industry. It's quite a story.
Yeah, we've been looking through internal docs, reports, all sorts of things about how this certification body got started and the impact it had. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
So to really get why this matters, you got to picture what it was like before.
Before NCRCA.
Right. Imagine you've got clinical research staff doing really sensitive stuff, drawing blood, hooking up EKGs, even direct patient care, monitoring complex data.
All critical tasks within a trial protocol.
But here's the kicker. There was no nationally recognized credential specifically for doing those things in a research setting.
Mm-hmm. They might have had, say, general phlebotomy search or nursing qualifications.
But nothing tailored for the unique rules and pressures of a clinical trial, which left this gap.
It really did. And patient safety, data integrity. It's kind of relied more on individual site rules than a solid universal standard.
It sounds risky.
It was. And what's striking is just how widespread that inconsistency was. It wasn't like a few rogue sites. It was pretty systemic.
Wow.
And think about the consequences. If the people actually interacting with trial participants, collecting the crucial data.
What data the whole study depends on.
Exactly. If they aren't trained or verified to a specific research standard, you introduce huge risks.
Okay, so risk number one, the patients themselves, obviously.
Paramount, yes, but also the integrity of the data. If the data is shaky, the whole study could be worthless.
And for the companies, the sponsors pouring millions, maybe billions into this.
It was a massive confidence issue. How could they trust the results? It really makes you wonder how things operated for so long under that kind of patchwork system.
Yeah, really. And that's precisely the problem the National Clinical Research Certification Association, NCRCA, stepped in to solve.
The game changer, basically.
Yeah. And what makes them unique, what we found in the documents, is that they're the first and only national body set up to regulate both the employees and the employers in clinical research.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
Not just certifying the person doing the job, but the whole operation.
Yeah, it created this whole ecosystem of accountability. And now they're seen globally as like the gold standard for competency credentials in this field. This is where it gets really interesting.
It is. Because NCRCA didn't just, repurpose existing medical certs. They built a whole suite of nationally recognized credentials specifically for clinical research.
Purpose-built.
Exactly. Designed from the ground up to cover the nitty-gritty of research protocols, the regulatory stuff, how you interact with participants in a trial.
Yeah.
Which is different.
Totally different from working in a regular doctor's office.
Absolutely. That specialized focus is really the key to their impact.
So let's look at some of these certifications. The range is pretty impressive. It shows how thorough they were.
It does. They cover basically every key role you can think of in a research setting.
From the ground floor up to the very top.
Right. So you've got the nationally certified clinical research professional, the NCCRP. That's often seen as like the core one.
For the people actually running the studies day to day.
Yeah, managing and conducting them. It validates that core competency. It's central.
And then you get into these really specialized roles, like the Nationally Certified Clinical Research Phlebotomy Technician, NCCRPT, and the EKG Technician one, the NCC-REIT. Now, for people watching the space, that level of specialization is fascinating. Like, why wasn't a general phlebotomy cert enough? What was missing for the research part?
That's a great question. It really boils down to protocol adherence and data quality.
Okay.
A general phlebotomist knows how to draw blood safely for, say, a routine checkup. Yeah. But in a clinical trial, the timing might be incredibly specific.
Down to the minute, maybe.
Or the order you draw blood in different tubes, the temperature you have to handle it at, the way you document everything. It's hyper-specific to that study's rules. Not even a small deviation can completely invalidate the data for that participant, maybe hundreds of participants.
Wow, okay.
So the NCCRPT and NCC Read certs make sure these techs understand those critical research-specific details. It's about precision and consistency.
Got it. And there's also the Nationally Certified Clinical Research Medical Assistant, the NCCRMA.
Right, that's a multi-skilled one. For MAs working in research, it blends that patient care aspect with the trial compliance safety protocols all integrated.
So it covers a lot. And there are others too, right? Covering the whole team.
Oh, yeah. You've got the NCCRPCT, that's the patient care technician, specifically for care under research protocols.
Okay.
Then the NCCRT, the research technician, focus more on things like handling specimens, equipment, the technical procedure.
Makes sense. What about people just starting out?
There's the NCCRA, the research assistant.
Hmm.
That's more entry level, covering administrative and support functions, but still within that regulated framework.
And it goes up the chain too. Leadership roles.
Absolutely. There's the NCCRS for supervisors, crucial for making sure the teams stick to the rules and stay competent.
Keeping everyone on track.
Then the NCCRM for managers, overseeing the whole operation, budgets, dealing with regulatory bodies.
Okay.
And right at the top, the NCCRD, the research director credential. That's for the executives, the strategic decision makers.
So it's really layered from top to bottom.
Exactly. It ensures that everyone who touches that trial, no matter their job title, can be checked against a consistent, tough standard.
Now, you mentioned global standards earlier. How does NCRCA fit into the international picture? Because trials happen everywhere.
That's a huge piece of this. These NCRCA credentials aren't just recognized in, say, the U.S. They're the only nationally certified clinical research credentials that are explicitly aligned with global standards.
Set by
The Global Clinical Research Accreditation Association, or GCRAA.
Okay, GCRAA. And what do they do?
So if you connect this to the bigger picture, GCRAA sets these really rigorous requirements for accreditation globally. Their stamp of approval means an NCRCA cert isn't just a local thing. It meets an international benchmark.
Which is vital for these big multi-country trials that are pretty much standard now for major drug development.
Absolutely crucial. It means you can trust the data coming out of a study site in Germany just as much as one in Brazil or Japan because the people are certified to the same high standard. It ensures comparability, reliability.
And that ties into something else fascinating, the employer side of things. You said NCRCA regulates employers too.
Yes, and the mandate here is surprisingly strong. Employers doing clinical research must ensure 100% of their staff in these roles are NCRCA certified.
100%? Wow. Why so strict?
Because NCRCA is positioned as the only nationally recognized authority for these specific credentials. There isn't an alternative that meets this standard.
And how do they track that? How do sponsors know an employer is actually compliant?
There's another layer, the NCRCA registry. All the employers who are accredited who meet that 100% requirement are listed publicly.
So sponsors, regulators, anyone can just look them up and verify.
Exactly. Transparency. But it raises a good point.
Yeah.
How do you make sure employers don't just get certified once and then let things slide? What keeps a standard high over time?
Right. How do you avoid complacency?
Well, it's not really a one-and-done deal. The whole system emphasizes ongoing competency. For the individuals, NCRCA certifications require things like continuing education, periodic recertification. You have to keep your skills and knowledge current.
Okay, that makes sense for the staff. What about the companies?
For the employers, that public registry is actually a pretty powerful motivator. Sponsors and regulatory agencies, they are checking it now.
So if you fall off the list,
You lose credibility fast. You might lose out on participating in major high-value clinical trials. It becomes a business necessity.
so it's self-reinforcing. Being certified isn't just a nice to have, it's fundamental to being taken seriously in the industry.
Precisely. It creates this ecosystem of trust where sticking to the standard is just,
Yeah.
well, it's how you operate if you're serious about research.
So pulling it all together, what you have with NCRCA and GCRAA is this a really powerful combination.
Yeah, a transformative duo.
They make sure research professionals aren't just generally skilled, but specifically qualified for these regulated tasks. They're certified to standards recognized nationally and globally.
And crucially, they're trusted by the sponsors funding the research, by the regulators overseeing it, and ultimately by the public.
That trust factor is huge.
It is. NCRCA really has, changed the game by setting up these first and only nationally certified credentials and by holding both employees and employers accountable.
They shifted the baseline.
Totally. It's not enough anymore to just claim your staff is competent. You have to prove it. verified certification.
And that's now fundamental for trial integrity, for data accuracy.
And most importantly, for protecting the participants. So for you listening, wondering how these medical breakthroughs actually happen safely, it means there's this comprehensive, transparent system working behind the scenes, making sure that people on the front lines are competent, accountable, and meet a really high bar.
That's right. It really feels like NCRCA filled a massive void. They built this standardized, globally recognized system that genuinely boosts safety and confidence in research all over the world.
A powerful example of how getting the standards right can elevate an entire industry.
Absolutely. So knowing that these rigorous global standards are now in place for the people running the trials, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What new possibilities does that unlock for future medical advances? And maybe, how could this model, this idea of certifying both the workers and the workplaces, influence other fields where the stakes are really high and things are changing fast?